the most mysterious disease in The Walking Dead, the disease that many people forget about its existence, and that has not even been clearly explained. And I'm not talking about the zombie infection. This disease, at certain points, was more deadly for several characters than the zombie infection itself. Yeah, I'm talking about the prison flu we had on The Walking Dead. The mysterious flu that killed a lot of people there became a pandemic inside the prison. What was the real cause of that disease? Was it the pigs themselves, or is there actually something bigger behind it? Yeah, I have to say there's something bigger behind it. And that's precisely why I decided to bring this video to tell you about this interesting aspect of The Walking Dead that is little explained. And if you wanna know, stay here and let's go. Hello everyone who watching this beautiful channel, my name is João Victor and I'm back to talk about The Walking Dead universe again, because I know you liked mostly these videos about The Walking Dead, explaining many points, and this one is a very important point from the beginning of the show, from old seasons of the show, a point that has never been clarified, and the crowd didn't understand much watching it at the time, a point that many people don't even remember, which is the prison flu. Let's talk about it, but first don't forget to check the like button in this video, don't forget to subscribe here if you like more contents about The Walking Dead universe and many other shows, and also I have to say, thank you for your patience with my English, I'm keeping improving it. This is not my native language, but I'm trying my best to be understandable, and let's go. Here's the thing, I already want to start this video by throwing the direct point, which is about the best time of The Walking Dead in my opinion. The best time of this show was the prison seasons. There's no moment in the show that reaches the level of nostalgia, madness, a sense of survival, a feeling of being in the apocalypse, difficulties, supply management. There are very good times on The Walking Dead, but there is no better time than prison in my opinion. Which, by the way, out of curiosity, was the time I started watching The Walking Dead. Back in 2012, when the third season came out, when the first episodes premiered, that's when I started watching the show. I started watching it for the third season, and only after I came back to be able to watch the others, and then I continued. So that's probably the reason this is my favorite period of The Walking Dead. And yeah, in this video I want to talk about the prison flu, one of the craziest times of The Walking Dead, and that a lot of people misunderstood the causes and what happens here exactly. It's much bigger than just what we see. It all starts back in the first episode of the season 4, after a conflict there with the governor in the third, distancing from the story. It is presented that time has passed, new survivors arrived in the place, and they found new ways to survive, including producing food. And one of the ways to produce food is through pigs. But right at the beginning, in one of the first scenes of the season, we had a conversation between Rick and his son Carl. Right there on the place that pigs used to stay, we have Carl questioning Rick what happened to Violet, which is even the name he gave to one of the pigs there. Exactly, that she's lying there, not dead yet, but weak, breathing with a lot of problems, she's not having much performance. Rick himself in the scene tells Carl to don't say the name of the pig because they are food, they are not pets, but they also don't understand what's going on with this pig. And this is the first indication of the story, and it's even one of the points that leads many people to believe that this prison flu was because of the pigs. But let's move forward. Moving forward a little further, there in the same episode we have another strange moment, a moment when Rick identifies a weird zombie in the scene, a zombie that is in the middle of his eyes is a normal dead man, but at the same time his eyes are bleeding. It is as if the blood came out of his face, some way he died was very different. Rick takes a look but doesn't consider it much, but it's another clue, another weird spot that starts to introduce this flu in the story. Everything indicates that this zombie here was already someone who had succumbed to the disease from outside, and it's already an important point for you to understand that this doesn't come from inside the prison. But let's keep going. Another important point is that this beginning of season 4 also introduced us to Patrick, who is a character played by the actor who played Greg in Everybody Hate Chris, the series. The actor name is Vincent Mertelia, but he participates in The Walking Dead in a very short way. He appears in a charismatic way in the episode 1 of the season 4 as one of the new survivors who participated there. But soon, at the end of the first episode, he already begins to show some strange symptoms. He starts coughing, starts to get a lot of fever, he wakes up at night there in one of the prison pavilions, all sweaty, even sweaty at the level, and he sweat footprints marks there. there in the corridor. He gets very sick and gets towards the shower area there for him to take a shower, but that's where the problem is. He turns on the shower, water starts to come out of him, he starts to take his bath, but he starts to cough more. He starts to feel sicker until the moment he collapses. He succumbs to this disease. He's the first who is shown like this on screen in a heavy way this season to introduce this disease in a more detailed way. This episode ends with him falling there in the bathroom and not showing much, revealing that he died from a mysterious disease that is not the zombie disease, the normal zombie infection that we know it's not, and that's the point. Like, he didn't need to be beaten. Like, he wasn't attacked by zombies, he wasn't beaten. And even with this, he died. Look at the level of danger of this. And so, going to the beginning of the episode 2 of the season 4, we already see Patrick as a zombie. He as a great internal threat in the prison. They are surrounded, very closed, it's a very safe place. At the same time, when someone dies from some cause other than the zombie inside, it can be a big problem. And that's what happens. He starts going through the pavilions there and killing people. He finds some of the survivors by surprise, bites, kills, which makes these survivors come back and become zombies inside there too, increasing zombie threat inside prison very quickly during this episode, which causes a collapse, makes Rick and the main characters there have to resist, have to kill these zombies, prevent others from being beaten, protect your loved ones, but there is a large number of deaths of several characters who had just arrived in prison recently. But the case of these deaths are the zombies themselves, the zombies that are inside. There is no disease yet. Only Patrick died because of the disease. But then, after the attack is controlled, the situation starts to become more critical. Many people got sick in there. Characters begin to notice people who are in strange situations, coughs, fevers, and they have a kind of council meeting, a meeting of the main ones there to try to take action on these people who are getting sick in a mysterious way. Among them, Karen and David. Karen, who is Tyrese's new girlfriend there, that he is getting closer to her, already has a strong relationship with her being built, and that she is coughing, she is feeling sick, and precisely for this reason it is suggested, especially by Carol there, that these patients be isolated until they understand what is happening. They put them on a quarantine, that's what happens, one of the sinister things of the show, and in the midst of the treatment of several who are starting to show symptoms and starting to feel sick, Herschel next to a doctor who helps there. In the midst of all this, at an attempt of control the situation, the characters find something. They find bodies of 2 people who were infected, burned dead there outside one of the prison wings. Precisely the bodies of Karen, who is Tyrese's girlfriend, and David, which makes Tyrese angry. They try to find out who it is. In the end, later we end up discovering that Carol did it with an attempt to control it, the disease, to make sure that sick people did not stay there and did not have serious problems in the prison. But then later on, more and more people start getting infected. Even watching it again, I didn't remember. We had some important characters who almost succumbed to this disease. I remembered about Glenn, that at first he's cautious there, he still participates in the meeting there without anyone identifying anything serious about him, but he's hiding, he's feeling sick. But I, for example, didn't remember about Sasha, who is also very sick, starts to get very sick. Her situation is very dire. And so, while Carol leads a space there in the prison and begins to send more and more people to an isolated quarantine region, Herschel and Carl go after a hope to be able to save all this, because as the infection spreads through the air, it is a business that anyone can be infected and die at any time. They just have to wait. It's a business that started to be more dangerous than the zombie virus itself. And because of that, they need to find a solution, something that will stop this. Because of this, Herschel himself says, there is no way to prevent people from getting infected. One way to stop it would be kill people, but they won't do that. There's no way to prevent it. So Herschel mentions that we have to find a solution for this. So they start collecting some medicinal plants and making some teas to try to treat these sick people, and in several cases it doesn't work. In other cases it ends up working, thankfully, but like rewatching this episode to be able to make this video, I realized how much of a total pandemic vibe it is. It's a pandemic within another pandemic. Everyone with things there in their faces, it's a shape of masks inside the prison, several sick people, Herschel himself intubating several people, using oxygen to try to make people survive, people's lungs being taken by blood, people coughing up blood, a disease at an absurd flu level, and that many can watch this video and say, it was H1N1, the pig disease, that was it. So the answer is yes and no. Let me explain. There's a part in the pigs, but then we will get to the point, calm down. The characters get together in a group and arrive in a veterinary college. In this case, more specifically, Daryl, Bob, Michonne, and Therese, who are divided there from Rick and Carol. And these four specifically arrive at this place to collect medicine, to try to find more effective ways to stop this problem and the entire prison not to die from that flu. It's not just any flu, it's a mysterious flu which appeared out of nowhere. But that's where there's a question. That's where the point comes in for you who are watching this video. One of the explanations. The pigs inside the prison started it. The point is, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the pigs that were there in the prison. One of the points is that within the veterinary college, they find several other zombies who are dead in the same situation, died of the flu, died of this disease, this new infection, the zombies with blood coming out of their eyes, through the face, showing that there was a lot of blood in their face region. Several of them that start attacking the characters. They try, instead of facing them, they try to run so as not to be infected. It is like at the same time that you have to avoid the zombie infection, avoid the bite, avoid everything, you have to avoid contact with the zombies now, so you don't get a new infection that you have too. The pandemic within the pandemic. It's crazy. That's why the prison season is one of the best. There's so much inside it. This is just one of the things about the prison. The theme of this video, beside the others. I will get to the point about the explanation for this, but going back to the prison, Herschel is there in terrible situations, intubating people. Meanwhile, we have Sasha and Glenn, who are no longer able to stand up, drinking tea, and next to Herschel to try to help him because there's no longer anyone healthier to help Herschel. And Herschel, by a miracle, doesn't get infected, but then it happens. Just like with COVID, people are dying, people are destined to be buried. They have to end some people until we reach the apex. Glenn gets sick, Glenn collapses, drowns in his own blood and almost dies. At least Herschel and Maggie arrive in time to save him. Other characters go into despair, new attack in prison. The characters who were out there arrive to be able to help, but at least in the end, with the medicines they bring, everything begins to be controlled. From that moment on, around episode 5 of season 4, we have the situation calming down. The medicines administered, people who are still alive being healed again, Glenn being saved, for example, and everything is fine now. The flu resolves itself. In the theory, the flu does not come back later, but then there we go. With all this story remembered in some points that people didn't even know, with all this, what is the issue, the reason for all this? Well, then we go first to official statements. Yeah, at the time, the creator of the original story of The Walking Dead from the comics, and who also participated heavily in the creation of the show at that time, Robert Kirkman, he was one of the producers and part of the decisions of the show. At that time, Robert appeared to give an interview and said that his intention in making this flu in prison was to do something similar to the Spanish flu. It was really caused by the virus I talked about earlier in this video, H1N1 at the time. In Europe at the time of World War I, the first one, it killed on devastating level 50 to 100 million people according to official data, and Robert wanted to replicate that in the situation in the prison. Like at this moment, the group is fine, surviving peacefully, but a new disease will disrupt everything and kill many people. That's what happened in the story. But then it was never made official what this specific type was. He said he wanted to do something like this, but he never wanted to confirm what kind of flu it was. It is also worth remembering that at the beginning of the story of The Walking Dead, when the outbreak began, when no one knew what the zombie virus was, we had some characters mentioning this disease that was spreading around the world as if it were a flu. Yeah, Madison herself from Fear the Walking Dead, in the first episode of this show, she talks to the principal, and the principal says, "I thought you hadn't come because several students were absent because of the flu that's circulating around." Then Madison answers, "No, I got vaccinated." Yeah, there was even a vaccine that was dissipated at the time, but it didn't work very well. Soon the zombies appeared, people understood what is it, but at first it was treated like a flu. But then back to the issue of prison itself, what was made official was this, but nothing like confirmed the detail about this flu, about the type of the infection. Everything indicates that in the show this infection was H1N1. The pigs were strong transmitters. They didn't act as the main points. They didn't generate this flu. Like those specific pigs in prison are not the causes, as many people think. They were some of the transmitters. They were the ones who took it to the prison, but it didn't start there. It was already outside. Proof of this is the zombie that Rick himself sees in the railing, arriving there before he even starts to spread out inside. Someone who had already died, some survivor who had already died in the surroundings. And the other biggest proof is the veterinary college, that the characters go there to hunt for some medicine. It is full of people who died from this disease too, and who weren't not part of the prison. Everything indicates that something went very wrong in some of the projects, some of the tests that were happening in this college around there, because some places, these types of research and everything else, they used to save types of viruses, bacteria, and some types of disease for studies. Most likely there was something like that, some kind of H1N1 that was stored there, but because of the apocalypse, surviving people who started to live there and who didn't understand much about it ended up messing with it and it leaked. They contracted some, they passed it from one to others, some of the zombies left this place, they began to interfere the region that happened there around the prison. In this case, if you don't know, the prison in the Walking Dead universe is located in the state of Georgia, next to the city of Atlanta. In this region began to have this spread, and you will agree with me that for them to start having pigs there, they needed to have found the first one, the first pig, or the first couple to reproduce, and starting to have several there. And most likely, in the first ones they found, they were already infected, which is what make all this virus, all this disease enter the prison. Well, it wasn't just the pigs there that caused this in general. They were just the agent to take to there. The main point is about the veterinary college that was out there but nearby in the region. This shows how everything in the world of the Walking Dead universe is very threatening. I'm amazed that they haven't explored more of this, and I'd like to see them exploring more of this. It's okay that it's tragic, but certainly in this world of the Walking Dead universe, if that small college had these viruses stored there and caused all this problem in this region, imagine other large institutes, universities that have even more deadly virus specimens. This virus never been spreading anything. If it spread, it could kill everyone. And in this precarious world, people didn't find out. It is very dangerous, they don't explore it much, even after several years. At the current moment in the story of the Walking Dead universe, we are more than 10 years after these prison events. Nothing like this has happened. Just something else, like a little something showed in Fear the Walking Dead, but nothing too important. I say that I would accept an episode of Tales of the Walking Dead, the anthological spin-off, an upcoming season focused on some new characters that we have never seen who lived somewhere. For example, in Asia, a group of characters who lived in an abandoned city in Russia, or an abandoned city in China, which no longer has many survivors, but which had a large university. And there they discovered a disease, and this disease spread. Maybe a large group, they could show a community like the Commonwealth, but there in China, with 50,000 people, which certainly around the world there are other places with communities of this size, and even larger. Some community like this being totally decimated because of the disease, a new disease that appeared out of nowhere because of a leak in some college, in some study, somewhere nearby. It is a kind of story, it is a point that they never touched in the Walking Dead universe. It would would be very creative for them to put something like that in the story. Go right in the comments if you like this point, if you think about this. For me, that would be interesting to address in an episode along these lines. Like, if you think that this disease can mysteriously return somewhere, that if they could bring this H1N1 itself. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so don't miss anything about the Walking Dead universe, many contents to explain here. Don't forget to check the like button in this video, it helps me a lot with the promotion, and thank you for watching this video. I'll be back soon, and bye!